Adebimpe, we need to talk, Jide said, his expression serious. Her heart raced. Is everything okay? Is it Kayode? Jide sighed and sat down. Adebimpe, I've heard some things. Kayode, he's moved on. He's met someone else, an Oyibo woman. In a small town in Nigeria, nestled amidst the vibrant chaos of Lagos, lived a young woman named Adebimpe. Born into a family struggling to make ends meet, Adebimpe learned from an early age the importance of hard work and sacrifice. Her parents, both petty traders, barely managed to put food on the table, but they instilled in her a sense of resilience and an unyielding spirit. Adebimpe was beautiful, with eyes that sparkled like the Lagos lagoon at sunset and a smile that could brighten the darkest days. Despite her family's financial struggles, she was determined to make something of herself. She worked various odd jobs and attended evening classes, hoping to secure a better future. It was during one of her evening classes that she met Kayode, a charming and ambitious young man with dreams as vast as the Atlantic. Kayode was different from anyone Adebimpe had ever met. He spoke of traveling abroad, of studying in prestigious universities, and of a life beyond the constraints of their small town. His dreams became her dreams, and soon they were inseparable. Their love blossomed quickly, and before long, they were making plans for a future together. However, the harsh reality of their financial situation loomed over their dreams. Kayode's aspiration of studying abroad required more money than they could ever hope to save. Desperate to support the love of her life, Adebimpe made a heart-wrenching decision. She turned to a life she had never imagined for herself, a life she had always viewed with disdain and fear. Adebimpe stood at the doorway of their modest one-room apartment, watching Kayode pack his bags. Her heart was heavy, but she forced a smile. This was what they had worked so hard for, what she had sacrificed everything for. Kayode, are you sure you have everything you need? She asked, trying to keep her voice steady. Kayode glanced up, his eyes filled with excitement. Yes, I have everything. I can't believe it's finally happening. I owe it all to you. Adebimpe swallowed the lump in her throat. Just promise me you'll stay in touch. Call me whenever you can. I promise, Kayode said, pulling her into a tight embrace. I'll make you proud, Adebimpe. I'll come back for you, and we will have the life we've always dreamed of. As Kayode's taxi drove away, Adebimpe felt a mixture of relief and dread. She had done what she had to do to ensure his future, but the cost had been immense. Working as a prostitute had shattered her spirit, but she had kept her eye on the goal, Kayode's success and their future together. Months turned into years, and communication from Kayode became sporadic. At first, he called frequently, sharing stories of his new life and the challenges he was overcoming. But gradually, the calls dwindled. Adebimpe's heart ached with every passing day. One evening, as she was closing her shop, a small business she had started with the little savings she had left, a familiar face appeared at the door. It was Jide, a mutual friend from their neighborhood. Adebimpe, we need to talk, Jide said, his expression serious. Her heart raced. Is everything okay? Is it Kayode? Jide sighed and sat down. Adebimpe, I've heard some things. Kayode, he's moved on. He's met someone else, an Oyibo woman. They are engaged. Adebimpe felt the world around her crumble. The sacrifices, the shame, the pain, all of it flashed before her eyes. No, Jide, it can't be true. He promised me. Jide shook his head. I'm so sorry, Adebimpe. I thought you should know. Tears streamed down her face as she absorbed the betrayal. She had given everything for him, and now she was left with nothing but a broken heart and shattered dreams. That night, as she lay in her bed, Adebimpe felt a surge of anger and determination. She had been a victim of her circumstances, but she refused to let this define her. She would rise from the ashes of her sacrifice, not for Kayode, but for herself. The days that followed were filled with a tumult of emotions for Adebimpe. Anger, sorrow, and a fierce determination to reclaim her life welled within her. She knew she couldn't change the past, but she could shape her future. With a newfound resolve burning in her heart, Adebimpe threw herself into her work. She expanded her small business, using every ounce of her strength and determination to make it thrive. Each day brought its challenges, but she faced them head on, refusing to be beaten down by the cruelty of fate. As time passed, Adebimpe found solace in the love and support of her family and friends. They became her pillars of strength, lifting her up when she stumbled and cheering on her as she forged ahead. Slowly but surely, she began to rebuild her life, one brick at a time. Yet, despite her efforts to move on, thoughts of Kayode still lingered in the recesses of her mind. She couldn't help but wonder what had gone wrong, why he had chosen to abandon her after all she had done for him. The pain of his betrayal gnawed at her, threatening to undo all the progress she had made. One evening, as she was closing her shop, a familiar figure stepped out of the shadows. It was Kayode, looking older and wearier than she remembered. Adebimpe, please, he pleaded, his voice tinged with desperation. I need to talk to you. Adebimpe's heart raced at the sight of him, a jumble of emotions coursing through her veins. Part of her wanted to turn and walk away, to leave him standing there just as he had left all those years. But another part, a softer part, still ached for the love they had shared. Reluctantly, she motioned for him to follow her Reluctantly, she motioned for him to follow her inside the shop. As they sat across from each other, the air between them heavy with unresolved tension, Kayode began to speak. I'm sorry, Adebimpe, he said, his voice trembling with emotion. I was a fool to let you go. I thought I could find happiness elsewhere, but I was wrong. You were the best thing that ever happened to me, and I threw it all away. Adebimpe listened in silence, her heart torn between forgiveness and bitterness. She wanted to believe him, to believe that he had finally seen the error of his ways, but she couldn't forget the pain he had caused her, the scars that still lingered beneath the surface. I don't know if I can ever trust you again, Kayode, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. You broke my heart into a million pieces. How can I ever be sure you won't do it again? Kayode reached out, his hand trembling as he brushed away a tear from her cheek. I understand, Adebimpe. I don't expect you to forgive me overnight, but please give me a chance to make things right. I'll do whatever it takes to earn back your trust, to show you how much you mean to me. Adebimpe felt the walls around her heart beginning to crumble, a glimmer of hope flickering in the darkness. Perhaps, she thought, it was a second chance they both needed. Perhaps, against all odds, they could find their way back to each other. But only time would tell if their love was strong enough to withstand the trials that lay ahead. With a heavy sigh, Adebimpe nodded slowly, her gaze locked with Kayode's. I need time, Kayode. Time to heal. Time to trust again. Kayode's eyes brimmed with gratitude, his voice filled with sincerity. I'll wait, Adebimpe. I'll wait for as long as it takes. As they sat in silence, the weight of their shared history hung in the air, mingled with the hope of a future yet unwritten. Adebimpe knew that forgiving Kayode would not be easy, but she also knew that love had a way of defying logic and reason. In the days that followed, Adebimpe wrestled with her feelings, torn between the pain of the past and the possibility of a future with Kayode. She sought solace in the familiar rhythm of her daily routine, throwing herself into her work with renewed vigor. Meanwhile, Kayode remained a constant presence in her life, offering support and encouragement without expecting anything in return. He respected her need for space, giving her the time and freedom to heal at her own pace. As weeks turned into months, Adebimpe found herself slowly letting go of the resentment that had consumed her. She began to see Kayode in a new light, recognizing the depth of his remorse and sincerity of his love. One evening, as they sat together on the balcony of Adebimpe's apartment, watching the sun dip below the horizon, she finally found the courage to speak. Kayode, she began, her voice barely above a whisper. I've thought a lot about us, about our future, and I realize now that I still love you, despite everything that's happened. Kaede's eyes widened in disbelief, his heart pounding in his chest. Adebimpe, are you saying? Adebimpe nodded, a small smile playing at the corners of her lips. I'm saying that I'm willing to give us another chance, but on one condition. Kayode leaned in closer, his breath catching in his throat. Anything, Adebimpe. I'll do anything. Adebimpe took a deep breath, her gaze steady as she met Kayode's eyes. Promise me that you'll never take me for granted again. Promise me that you'll cherish me as I deserve to be cherished. Kayode reached out, taking her hand in his touch gentle and reassuring. I promise, Adebimpe, with every beat of my heart, I promise. And in that moment, as they sat, bathed in the golden light of the setting sun, Adebimpe felt a sense of peace wash over her. She knew that their journey would not be easy, that there would be challenges and obstacles to overcome. But she also knew that as long as they faced them together, their love would be strong enough to withstand anything that life threw their way. With a smile, she leaned in, pressing her lips to Kayode's in a tender kiss, sealing their promise for a future filled with hope and possibility. As they reached the street, Femi's sinister grin widened, his eyes glinting with malice. Well, well, well. Look at what we have here, he sneered, his voice dripping with contempt. Adebimpe, I believe you have something that belongs to me. Adebimpe's heart sank as she realized what Femi was referring to. It was a debt she had foolishly incurred during the darkest days of her past, a debt she had struggled to repay ever since. I don't have your money, Femi, she said, her voice trembling with defiance. I've been trying to make things right, to start over. Please, just give me more time. Femi's laughter echoed through the street, sending a shiver down Adebimpe's spine. Time is something you don't have, Adebimpe. You've had enough chances to pay what you owe, and now it's time to settle the debt once and for all. Before Adebimpe could react, Femi motioned to his men, who moved to grab her and Kayode. But just as they closed in, a voice rang out from the crowd, commanding attention. It was Jide, the same friend who had brought news of Kayode's betrayal. He stepped forward, his expression resolute as he addressed Femi. Enough, Femi, he said, his voice unwavering. This ends now. Adebimpe has suffered enough because of you. It's time to let her go. Femi's eyes narrowed, his patience wearing thin. And who are you to tell me what to do, Jide? This is none of your concern. Jide stood his ground, his gaze steady as he faced down the notorious gang leader. Adebimpe may owe you a debt, but that doesn't give you the right to ruin her life. Let her go, Femi, or I'll be forced to take matters into my own hands. For a moment, the street was filled with tense silence as Femi weighed his options. Then, with a frustrated growl, he snuggled to his men to stand down. Fine, he spat, his voice laced with venom. But mark my words, Adebimpe, this isn't over. You still owe me, and I'll be coming to collect. As Femi and his men disappeared into the night, Adebimpe felt a wave of relief wash over her. She turned to Jide, gratitude shining in her eyes. Thank you, Jide, she said, her voice choked with emotion. I don't know what I would have done without you. Jide smiled warmly, his eyes filled with pride. You're stronger than you realize, Adebimpe. Don't ever forget that. With that, he disappeared into the crowd, leaving Adebimpe and Kayode alone on the deserted street. As they made their way back to her apartment, hand in hand, Adebimpe couldn't help but reflect on the events of the evening. In the face of adversity, she had found courage she never knew she possessed, and with the love and support of those who cared about her, she had overcome the darkest chapter of her life. As they reached the safety of her apartment, Adebimpe knew that she had learned a valuable lesson. No matter how bleak the situation may seem, there is always hope. And with determination and resilience, even the most daunting challenges can be overcome. If you like this story, please like, share, and comment. See you in the next story.